Alright, section 4 will look at the structure of political parties and also look at the influence of money on political parties. If we look at political parties, we see that they are decentralized in nature. Both the Republican and Democratic parties are often described as highly organized groups. However, upon closer observation, the two parties are mostly fragmented and plagued by internal squabbling. Neither party has a chain of command running from the national to the state to the local levels. Each state party is only loosely tied to the national party. What we do see, though, is the role of the president plays a big role in the organization and structure of a political party. The president's party is usually more solidly united and organized than the opposing party, and the president assumes the role as the leader of that party. The display of leadership by the president, with his access to media, their popularity and power, and their ability to make appointments to federal office really make them the focal point of the political party. The party out of power really has no other person who is in a comparable position, and usually what ends up happening is you have some sort of infighting that goes on. But we also see that federalism is also a major reason for the decentralization of our parties. The basic goal of political parties, as we've talked about time and again, is to control government by winning elective offices. With most of the elective offices being located at the state or local level, most of the party organization then is pretty much decentralized at the state and local level, with the national parties basically just kind of overseeing activities. At the national level, the national party machines have three main functions. The first one is putting on the National Convention. Back in August, both the Republicans and the Democrats both held their respective parties' conventions. The goal of the convention is to formally nominate and elect both the presidential and vice presidential candidates for that year, as well as adopting the party's platform. A party's platform lays out the basic principles of the party, stands on major issues, and what it hopes to accomplish when it wins the election. The National Committee is largely responsible for trying to provide overall direction and control of the party in between elections. But the power that they have really isn't as strong as we would think. The National Committee's power is largely confined to setting organizational policy, such as determining the site of the next convention, and rules governing the selection and allocation of delegates. They really have no power to select the nominees or dictate a candidate's policies. In each party, the national chairperson is the leader of the National Committee and is chosen for a 4-year term right after the National Convention. Both the Republicans and Democrats this year, right now, are trying to figure out who that next chairperson is going to be. The national chairperson is responsible for directing the work of the party's headquarters and during the presidential election years of the convention and on the campaign. During non-election years, national chair people are responsible for raising money, recruiting new voters, and preparing for the next presidential election. Both the Republican and Democratic national committees are very important for candidates in order to raise money. If we look at this website here from the GOP fundraising and filing, we can see that over the last couple of quarters, the GOP has raised a tremendous amount of money. And this money can go to candidates in order to make sure that they are running for and winning re-election. In addition, at the congressional level, both the Republican and Democratic national committees also have their own campaign committees. These committees are responsible for helping to get incumbents in their party reelected and to make sure that the seats that are given up by retiring party members remain in the party. A party organization can legally give money directly to a House or Senate candidate. The legal limit is greater for the Senate than House candidates, and given the enormous cost of running a campaign, millions of dollars plus, it is not particularly high. It's only about $40,000 or so. The money that goes directly to a candidate can be spent however they choose. This is called hard money. This includes all the money candidates receive from individual contributors, parties, and interest groups, and all of these funds are again subject to strict limits. Limits on party contributions were established when the campaign finance laws were reformed in the 1970s in response to the Watergate scandal. Wealthy contributors, though, found a loophole in the ruling. Although they were limited in the amount of money they could give to a candidate, they realized they could provide an unlimited amount to the party. These contributions were called soft money, and that the party could not directly hand over this money to a candidate. The party was allowed, though, to use this money to support party activities such as voter registration drives, party-centered TV ads, all of which could indirectly benefit the candidate. In 1996, the Democratic Party ran a $100 million ad campaign that did not directly urge voters to support Clinton, but did include a picture of him in reference to his accomplishments as president. It was instances like this that the line between hard and soft money became difficult to distinguish. In 2002, though, Congress closed the loophole with the Bipartisan Campaign Reform Act. BICRA prohibited national parties from raising or spending soft money and banned state parties from spending soft money in support of candidates or federal elections. The ban on soft money, though, does not apply to what are called 527 groups. 527 groups are not-for-profit political groups. Much of the money that would have been previously been contributed to parties now finds its way into these 527 groups. Although they are prohibited from attacking directly, these groups can legally engage in something called issue advocacy, which enables them to mount thinly veiled attacks on a candidate. If you look at this video here, Swiftboat Veterans for Truth, it was an ad from the 2004 Bush-Kerry election, and it's going to attack John Kerry on his war record. Notice that they're going to attack John Kerry's character. They will focus on his issue of his service in the military. They will not talk about him as a presidential candidate. Next week, we will begin to analyze the Citizens United case and take a look at how that influenced and impacted money in political parties and campaigns.